Will the freedom of Africans remain signed only on papers and words, not in actions? For how long Africa continent will have to allow the open eye master to come and use their mineral resources in order to produce whatsoever they need around the world, such as a weapon, and come back with it to use it on Africans? So today in this video we're going to talk again about Africa. It is a passion. It is our motherland. Africa, it is beautiful, but we have issue. We have problem to fix. We need to fight in order for us to repossess the land that our parents have left for us. We have that responsibility to look after our land. It is our responsibility to bring back our land. So I want to bring to your attention about what is going on around Africa, and I'm going to be more specific about what is going on right now in Sudan. The day yesterday it was in Libya. Yesterday it was in Republic of Congo. Today it is in Sudan. What about tomorrow? You're never gonna know whether your country will be affected by the same games that is taking place around Africa. You as an African, you need to be aware of what is going on so that you can be able to prepare yourself. For the last week or so, Sudan has been consumed by violence between Sudanese army and paramilitary group known as RSF, or Rapid Support Forces. According to the latest reports, over 500 people have been killed. And on Tuesday, it was reported that this violence had split out to AlBashir region, the dispute region between Ethiopia and Sudan. Despite the calls of ceasefire from both United States of America and UN Secretary General Chief Antonio Guterres, the violence shows no sign that it will stop anytime soon. So, in this video, we're going to explain it to you. How did the fight broke out in Sudan, and why did it spread to the Ethiopia borders, and how is it going to affect the region? Well, let us first start explaining by what is going on in Sudan at the moment. In order to understand it even much better, we had to go and dig the Sudanese history from 1989, when AlBashir took power through a military coup in a brutal way. Since then, he keep organizing elections which the result have to be announced in his favor, that keep him in power for the next 30 years and become like one of African dictators. During his reign, his government continued to suffer many civil war, including non-Muslim African minority who had to fight with government Muslim, which end up creating the South Sudan Republic in 2011. Soon after then, he recognized the long-run war in Darfur despite the previous peace agreement. According to the International Criminal Court report, AlBashir said, I quote, masterminded and implemented a plan to destroy the three main ethnic groups in Darfur. This group, be known as the first Masailed and Zagawat people, with the campaign of murder, rape, and deportation. In 2013, UN estimated of AlBashir's government forces of killing more than 300,000 people of Darfur ethnic, with millions of people displaced. AlBashir was then charged by the ICC for the campaign of massive killing, rape, and pillage on Darfur people. That is how he became the first head of state that the ICC have launched an arrest warrant against before he was removed in power in 2019. Then later in 2020, he was delivered to the ICC. After removing AlBashir in power, the military government declared state of emergency, taking control of the entire country. This deal, it was eventually approved by protesters and the military government. They had promised protesters that they are going to hand over power to the civil leaders in 2021, so that in 2022, these civil societies can organize a fair election for everyone. But unfortunately, that was not the case. After this military government, they have tested the beef soup. They changed their mind and they end up committing another military coup in October 2021. The coup was led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who used to be in Sudan military, now is the current president of Sudan. And he was supported by RASAF groups which have been fighting in the country for so many years. In his message on the national television and France 24, Abdel Fattah denied that it was not a military coup. Instead, he had apparently tried to rectify the parts of the transition and promised democratic election in July 2023. This did not go down well with the Sudanese public. The vast majority of Sudanese wanted a government led by civilians and not militaries. And this led them to organize a massive anti-democracy protest all over the country, which took place early 2022. Like, not surprisingly, the military responded back by killing hundreds of people and thousands of people who were injured. They also start resetting among themselves, which led the Prime Minister Abdel Hamdok to resign from the office after that massive protest. After a couple of months of protesting and negotiation between civil society and the military government, the two parties agree on a so-called framework agreement in December 2022. Like in 2019, the military government agreed to give power after 2 years of transition. There was always criticism whether this military government will respect their promises this time, yes or not. But the media called that the most recent fighting that we get to see right now, it is also part of one of the agreement in that framework, which required the RSM to be integrated into the Sudanese army. Well, this was still gonna be a serious problem because both RASAF and the Sudanese army forces, they all have 100,000 troops. Now the power get to struggle between Abdel Fattah and Mohamed Hamdan, who's also currently Sudan vice president. Well, that is what currently fight it is all about, where we get to see same people who share the same blood. They get to fight between themselves. But what is the motivation behind all this fighting? Anyway, the fight started last week and all of them, they are accusing each other of starting it. This fight is more focused in capital city of Khartoum, where they are fighting for important infrastructures. The RASAF, they've been fighting military jets in RSF position, while RSF, they've been using military tools which they are having in their position. And when all this are happening, it is only people who get to die from these elephant fights. According to the last report, we're talking about more than 500 people who have died already so far. Obviously, this military, they don't care about people at all. They don't care about their life. That is why they're killing them as their wishes. Do you know why? Because none of this military group is supported by people of Sudan. It is not like there is a good guy and a bad guy here, because all of them, whether it is Abdel Fattah or Mohamed Adam, no one is good, no one is being accepted by people of Sudan. They don't have the support of Sudanese. And all this it happened because they have broke that promise that they had told the Sudanese people that they were going to hand power over to the civilians. On top of all this, there is possibility that this crisis might end up becoming international. This is even destabilizing the whole Africa. For an example, look at this. The Horn of Africa is covered by crisis. Ethiopia still healing from Tigrayan war. South Sudan still negotiating peace with the rebels in the country. And Somalia still a failed state. What about if I take you in the Central Africa, where there's a serious conflict between the Republic Democratic of Congo and Rwanda, who's supporting the rebels? What about Burundi? What about Central Africa? What about Mali? What about Nigeria with Boko Haram? What about Libya? You get to see that the whole Africa right now, we are in mess. And as long we don't sit down and talk about this, there is no way that we'll be able to save this beautiful motherland. Look, we all know who are behind this. We all know who are putting trouble among Africans. We all know that. This is not the time of apartheid, because if it was the time of apartheid, we would have understood that our leaders such as Robert Mugabe, Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara or Patrick Emery Lumumba, they are no longer alive, and that would have been something else. But even in our days, we have some Pan-Africans who get to send a very strong message to this open eye must telling them that we are all aware about what you guys are doing in Africa. These Pan-Africans such as Julius Malema, who have the courage to send this strong message to everyone out there to be aware of what these people have been doing in Africa. For an example, when Julius Malema get to say this,
it will be wrong of me to leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who care, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen goods on her head. We have nothing to do with the Queen. Renaka Spedi, but Baukwari Slaga Bona, Marawana, Kele Kodu, Lele Bolailemba Tubarena. Ba utswa di minerali tsa mo Africa, ba utswa di minerali tsa all over Africa. Today people tweet, hey we mourn the Queen. By mourning and praising the Queen, you are celebrating colonialism. You are not different from Helen Zille. We were not colonized by the land called Britain. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here. We are very clear. The Queen does not represent anything good. Britain has got a lot of gold, yet they don't have a single mine of gold. Those are stolen goods. We must talk about reparation. We must talk about the return of the gold. We must talk about the return of the stolen diamond, and not these other side issues which are not important to us. How can you be oppressed for so many years? After liberation, you've got nothing to show that we have been liberated. You have no land, you have got no bank, you've got no mine. The only thing you have is a hatred of other Africans.
ICC, Putin is welcomed here. And no one is going to arrest Putin. If needs be, we'll go and fetch Putin from the airport to his meeting. He will finish all his meetings. We'll take him back to the airport. We're not going to be told by these hypocrites of the International Criminal Court who know the real violators of human rights, who know the murderers of this world. That former Prime Minister of Tony Blair admitted that they made a horrible mistake when it comes to Saddam Hussein. They've not been charged today. Bush is still there. They've not been charged till to date. And then Obama killed Gaddafi. And then nothing has happened. We're here today with Libya being destroyed and unable to recover because of America. We know very well that where NATO gets involved, those are terrorists. We know very well where the US says we're going in to install peace. That place will never know peace as long as America has visited that place. So we don't want ICC's hypocrisy to apply here in our country. President Putin is welcomed. We know our friends. We know the people who liberated us. We know the people who supported us. In Coup, the weapons that were used in Coup that led to the liberation of South Africa were coming from Russia. Russia supplied us with weapons in Coup. Cuba supplied us with soldiers. MK was drunk.
These are the kind of message that will never gonna leave Americans and Europeans to leave Africa at peace at all. Instead, they'll try to do anything by all means to bring the trouble so that Africa should not live at peace, so that Africa will keep on fighting among ourselves, so that we keep on killing our own brothers, our own women, our own children. because they know that the day when Africa will be united, that will be the end of them. That is the reason why they try everything by all means. US foreign policy is not to be trustworthy, not even a little bit, because when you get to see in the US, whether you are a Republican, whether you are Democratic, all of them, they are the same. They get to challenge each other on how to see who have done better when it comes to destroy Africa, when it comes to put trouble in Africa. They get to challenge each other. Guys, I don't know if you have watched this video, but I'm about to play you this video of Donald Trump, who's the former president of USA, who's also planning to come back. This man is trying to criticize Joe Biden police, and he gets to say the following things that I want you first to get to understand how these people, they get to play with Africans, and you'll tell me for yourself who have done better than other person.
Well, I haven't changed, and my views haven't changed very much. I think I've been pretty consistent over the years. We want security, we want a great country, we want a strong military, we want borders, and we want good elections and education and housing and everything. I certainly haven't changed very much. So if we don't do it, if we don't get this back, if we don't take our country back, we're not going to have a country. It's literally, we're not going to have, it's total chaos, it's a mess. Every single thing you see in the news, Ukraine, Russia should have never happened. Inflation should have never happened. Every single thing, the way we pulled out of Afghanistan, where we gave them $85 billion, $85 billion worth of equipment, the best. You know, they're the second largest arms dealer in the world right now. We gave it to them, brand new trucks, brand new planes, brand new guns, rifles, 700,000 rifles and guns. Think of that, 700,000. They only need 40,000. Probably not even that. So they're selling the rest, making a fortune. We left it there. And I was the one that was getting out. I got them down, you know, it was enough, 21 years, it was enough. And we didn't have anybody killed in the last 18 months. I spoke to Abdul, the leader. We had nobody killed. We had everybody understood. And we were going to get out with dignity and strength. Instead, I think it was the most embarrassing period, the way we withdrew. Not the fact that we withdrew, the way we withdrew from Afghanistan. And I think Putin actually saw that, and he probably got a little more ambition, frankly.
Let me ask you a question about that. You have really fascinating letters in here from Putin, from Xi, from Un in North Korea, and I can go on and on. And what I notice, there's a common thread. You had a personal relationship with every one of these leaders, whether they're genocidal maniacs, whether they're elected, like Abe of Japan, who was a close friend of yours and was assassinated, and I want to get into some of this. What would you say your foreign policy is? Because I think people keep projecting onto your foreign policy what it is that they think they want people to think your foreign policy is. What would you say it is?
So I think more than anything else, and it was a very personal relationship, and, you know, sort of a weird situation. The tougher they were, the better I got along with them. And that's probably a good thing, because it was the tough ones that had the big, powerful countries, the ones that can do destruction. And when you look at what's going on now with the word nuclear, it's being thrown about every day. Every hour you hear nuclear, nuclear. You didn't hear that at all for 4 years when I was there. You don't discuss that word. That word is a bad word. A bad word, Mark, because the power is so unbelievable. This isn't a world war. This is the end of the world. I don't call it World War III. I call it the end of the world. And we have people that have no idea what they're talking about or what they're doing. I look at now what's happening with Russia and the United States. They just grabbed a reporter, which is unheard of. They're holding now a reporter. I guess that hasn't happened in many decades. What's going on? We are at, in my opinion, because of the power of weaponry, mostly nuclear, but other things also, we are in the most dangerous position we've ever been in as a nation right now. And we have a leader that just doesn't know what's going on. He just doesn't know what's going on. And we want to be nice about it. Everybody wants to be nice about it. But the world is at balance, and this country might not exist. I mean, we may not exist anymore because we're talking about power of weapons that is so unbelievable. I know better than anybody because I got to see it. And we have people that don't understand that, and they talk tough when they should be nice, and they talk nice when they should be tough. I mean, it's the opposite. Everything you see they say is just wrong. But he knew not to go in, and he wouldn't have gone in. They don't respect our country anymore. They don't respect our leadership anymore. I had Iran in a position where they would have made a deal within 1 week after the election. Instead, they've become very rich. And I told China, if you buy oil from Iran, they were buying massive amounts. If you buy oil, you're not going to do any business with the United States. The problem is the new administration blew it.
Now tell me, isn't this the same thing his predecessor have done? Isn't this the same method which even his predecessors they did before they get to be in power? You get to understand when I said that you don't follow politicians with their politics, because these people, they're so manipulative and you never gonna go right with them. Instead, they'll always keep on disappointing you. Yes, he raised some of the point which really makes sense, because he's trying to defend what he have done good, which he came with evidence that the whole world can see at the moment. We are not disagreeing about that. We are not discussing about that. For example, when he says that during his time, instead of fighting all over, the way we get to see Biden fighting with Putin, fighting with Jinping, fighting with many leaders around the world, him instead was very close to these people. He make even some of them, they become his friends. That one, no one will deny him that. It makes sense, because during Donald Trump, we did not see Americans get to engage themselves in the war. Instead, they were only using Africa with Africans, which still continue today, even after he may have left the office. Guys, what do you need to understand from all this is that Africans, we are on our own. Yes, you are on your own if you really want to protect your land, if you want to protect your personality and your dignity. You have to do what is right by loving first your brother, by loving first your fellow Africans, by saying no to the system that the open eye must they have come and imposed upon us. That is the only way we'll be able to survive. Otherwise, trust me, we'll keep on killing each other until we end up leaving this land for some people to come and live on it without even noticing. So the message is loud and clear. Africa with Africans should be aware of what is going on within our continent, and then open your eyes and do what is right in order for you to keep possessing your land. I hope this message had benefited you from something as an African child. Thank you so much for watching this video until now. If this is your first time to be on our channel, you are welcome, and please don't leave without you hitting that subscribe button, because on this channel we educate, on this channel we have a serious conversation about matters that are surrounding Africans. Thank you again for those who always watch me time to time. I have to take this opportunity to just say thank you so much because of your love and your support through the comment. We really do appreciate everything that you always do time to time. We are on our goal of reaching 50,000 subscribers. So please continue to subscribe to our channel and follow us in our different social media so that we can reach a big number of Africans around the world that need to know what is happening here in Africa. My name is Dobsi Nyembe, for those who don't know me. For now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.